Hey, I'm Benny D, and in this video we're going to look at how to find the area of a trapezium. Okay, so we need to define what a trapezium is. Okay, so a trapezium is a shape that has two sides that are parallel but not the same length. Okay, so we've got this top side and this bottom side. Okay, they're parallel, they'll never meet if we extend them out, but they're not the same length. Okay, so we're going to go back a step. And as per other videos, we know that our area formula, okay, is going to be a modification of the formula for our length times our width. Okay, so we're going to look at modifying that formula, to find the area of our trapezium. So the thing that we've always got to remember is our length and width dimensions must be perpendicular or at right angles or 90 degrees to each other. Okay? So if we're looking, say, at this being our length, well, that would be okay. But our width, well, it doesn't really work to be this side, okay, because it's not at right angles, and it doesn't work to be this side either, because it's also not at right angles. What do we do there? Okay, we could look at this height here and say, well, that's our width, okay, and that would work fine. Hey, but then what's our length going to be? Well, we've got this one here, but we've also got this one here, okay? They're different sizes. Which one am I going to choose? Well, the answer is neither. What we're going to do is actually modify this trapezium and turn it into a rectangle. Okay? And what we do, similar to a previous video on parallelograms where we actually cut a triangle off and moved it, we're going to do the same thing. But we're going to do it to both ends of our trapezium. So I'm going to take my scissors, if you like, and I'm going to cut up this line here, forming this triangle. And I'm going to move that triangle up to here. Okay, so I'm going to move it up, and what it does is it squares off that end for us. So that trapezium is near, this triangle is near up there, so I can go, no, that's gone. Okay, we've got a nice square end here. And I can do the same thing here. You'll notice for this one though, we're going to be half units, but that's okay. So I'm going to cut up that red line, cut off this triangle, and I'm going to move it over to there. Okay, come up here. So I can get rid of it there, it's no longer there. And voila, all of a sudden, I have a nice rectangle that I can work with. And we can see here then what my length would be. In this case, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. Okay, and up here it is also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. Okay, so from there, we could use our formula. Well, that's okay, but we actually want a formula from our starting point. Okay, not what we've gotten to, we want to know how we can get there. So remember, I'll just remind you that we came down to here and came down to there. Now remember, our new length we got to was 5.5 centimeters. Okay, we want to know how we can get to that 5.5 centimeters. Let's look at how long our bottom is. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we've got 7 centimeters for the bottom part, so I'm going to call that the bottom. I'm going to say that this here is the bottom of our trapezium. Let's call it B. Okay, so the bottom was equal to 7 centimeters, and the top was equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 centimeters. Okay, I'm going to call this dimension along here the top, and I'm going to call it T. Right, and we just said that was 4 centimeters. That was 7 centimeters. And we need to be looking at this 4 and 7 centimeters, going, well, how can I get to that 5.5 centimeters that I needed, okay, for the length? How am I going to get to there? Well, what we can actually do, okay, is add our top and bottom together. Add our top plus our bottom. Well, that gave us 7 plus 4, which is 11. Then we can actually divide it by 2. If we do 11 divided by 2, we're actually going to get back to 5.5 as needed. Okay, so that's how we can get to this length here. So what's that going to look like? Well, and what have we actually done? Well, we've taken the bottom length here, added it to the top length, okay, and divide by 2. Or if you like, we've taken the average of the top and the bottom. Because we had two things we add together and we divide by 2. So we actually found the average. So what's that going to look like in a formula though? Okay, well, let's start building it up. We know that we've got our... Oh, sorry, we haven't actually finished. All we've done there is found the length. Okay, found the length. Well, our width comes from this height here. Okay, straight up the middle, it's the side that we build up, okay, when we actually move those triangles around. Okay, so our width, sorry, is going to be 3 centimeters. So all up our area equals 5.5 times 3. So our area is going to equal 16.5 centimeters squared. Okay. Now that's our example, but I'm going to go back and go, okay, how do we actually get to a formula we can use for any trapezium? Well, let's write out exactly what we did. Okay. My area is going to equal my top length, T, plus my bottom length, B. I added those two together, and I ended up dividing them by 2. Okay. And that gave me this overall length, which was that 5.5. I then multiplied by our width, which in this case is like this height of this trapezium, if you like, and that was 3. In this case, sorry, but that is going to be our height. Often we call out our height of our trapezium. Okay, so let's just go over that again. We take our bottom length, we add our top length to it, we divide it by 2, okay, so it formed up this nice rectangle, okay, and then we times it by the height. Because this part here is the equivalent of our length. This height is equivalent to our width in our rectangle formula, and we know they're at right angles, so we know our formula is going to work. So we're getting into some that are a little bit more complicated now than previous ones, okay? But hopefully that'll be enough to help you out with some of your calculations.